The A54 and its predecessor have a noticeable visual difference, so that's something. Additionally, it has a better, brighter display. But does this really make a difference, or is it just an upgrade for a fairly standard mid-ranger? For the new A54, the appearance has undergone a complete overhaul. A slightly wider, glass-backed A54 has taken the place of the previous, narrow A53 with a plastic backing. The A54 is much more rounded than the model from 2022, which has more obvious rounded corners, a bezel around the display that is designed to match, and generous rounding on the plastic edges. It looks good and is a vast improvement over the 2022 model. Although other colors are available, such as the much nicer looking lavender purple and lime green options, the white version is fairly plain. They have gorgeous phones. Despite the plastic frame, the device feels quite sturdy. Additionally, it has a high rating for water and dust resistance, just like its predecessor. That means it can easily withstand your daily mishaps, such as getting caught in the rain, being dropped into a wash basin full of water, or being left on the bathroom shelf while you take a shower. This is specifically IP67. It is also a sizable device. It's wide and tall, and it's just slightly heavier than 200 grams due to its size. Additionally, the glossy glass on the back has a penchant for slipping from plush furniture. It's safe to say that the A54 has some high goals, and that the phone's display stands out among all of its individual components. Samsung has improved the brightness compared to the previous model and produced a large, vibrant, and colorful panel that occupies a significant amount of the front of the phone. It is saturated and shines in just about any circumstance. In fact, it is certified for HDR10+ content because it is bright enough and has a wide enough dynamic range. With a pixel density of over 400 ppi on its Full HD plus 1080 by 2340 panel, it is also more than sufficiently sharp. It denotes that details are clear and angular at a distance. Additionally, it has high refresh rates of up to 120 Hz. Despite this, a mid-range device lacks the super responsive adaptive capabilities that would enable it to change this, according to the type of content being displayed. Rather, it primarily jumps between 60 Hz and 120 Hz. However, we'll talk more about performance in a moment. It is not without problems, though. It is bloated and still doesn't seem to be optimized very well to provide a consistently quick and fluid experience on lower-powered smartphones like the A-series devices. Even though it doesn't have a flagship-level Snapdragon chipset, the mid-range Exynos processor in this device is more than capable of meeting the needs of the majority of users. While resolution may be slightly reduced in some of the more intense games to maintain smoothness, overall we have absolutely no complaints. We put a lot of effort into Mario Kart Tour Mobile, and everything worked out pretty well. The fact that it takes a little while for apps and games to load is one indication that this is a mid-range device, but it never made us impatient to the point of annoyance. In fact, you probably won't even notice if you've never used a top-tier Android phone. However, the battery life is very good. In our experience, the 2-day battery that Samsung advertises will probably not last a full 48 hours between charges, but it isn't far off. Our own typical usage would leave us with between 40 and 50% extra at the end of the day, and typically consisted of about 3 hours of mixed usage during the day, split between gaming, social media, web browsing, and listening to music. This was done by taking the phone off charge around 8 AM and putting it back on charge around 11 PM or midnight before going to bed. A nice trio of cameras are located on the back of the A53, just like its more expensive S-branded siblings. However, only 2 of those cameras are actually useful, and the third is a 5-megapixel macro. It does allow you to turn on the macro mode in the camera app, get very close to tiny objects, focus, and take a photo from a few centimeters away, but the quality of the images is subpar. When compared to the other 2 cameras, photos taken with the macro camera are simply less detailed due to the lower resolution sensor. Therefore, you actually have 2 cameras to experiment with, or at least 2 that you'll use the most. Overall, the A54's images are strong for the market they are intended for. In keeping with the standard Samsung aesthetic, photos taken in direct sunlight will be vividly colored and contrast-rich. Even with Samsung's aggressive scene optimizer turned off, the colors are extremely saturated. In contrast, the ultra-wide lens appears to have some difficulty and frequently overexposes the photos, resulting in brighter areas of the photos blowing out and losing detail. The additional contrast we noticed in most images made shadows and darker areas quite grainy and noisy indoors, away from bright lighting. After spending some time with the Galaxy A54, we are left with some questions. We have a device with a great, large, vibrant display and a long battery life, on the one hand. To a certain extent, it also has powerful cameras. It does, however, face a lot of competition in its price range. The Galaxy A54, in our opinion, outperforms both Pixel phones in terms of display and battery power, but Google's smartphones are more reasonably priced given their other advantages. If you want a durable phone that you use primarily for media consumption, Samsung's most recent A50 series is still the one to get. The big bright display really makes the product. It could be a fantastic mid-range device with a more restrained approach to software and a more consistently smooth user interface experience. Thank you for watching this video and see you soon.